continents, speaking countless languages, and crossing borders without a passport, as well as planting the seeds of change and rolling the ball on the virtuous cycle of passing it on. Welcome to the ever surprising world of IHF. I'm your host, Salsabel,
with yours truly, co-host Athmar.
and today we have a very special guest that we've been meaning to contact to have a wonderful conversation with for a very long time, Ollie. Ollie, how are you feeling today?
Feeling good. I'm glad to be here. Excited to chat.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, before we get into some of the more deep, insightful questions, the really hard-hitting ones, we'd just like for you to introduce yourself because we feel that rather than introducing the guest, we'll allow them to do a self-introduction. So, Ollie, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. So I'm the team leader of the data analyst team at IHF. I've got quite varied interests and background, I would say. I think I've come into this role in a quite unconventional manner. But yeah, I like nature, art, and handling data and stuff. I'm a bit of a nerd. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
A nerd. Can you kind of clarify nerd for you? You
Oh,
mentioned
yeah.
data. What do you do
Yeah, sure.
exactly?
So I mean, I suppose I'm a bit of a nerd in like all senses of the terms, like nerd culture and like gaming and that sort of things. But what I meant there was like I work with data. I use like numbers and statistics to find patterns for businesses and organizations and kind of problem solve and transform the data to kind of tell a story to an organization or business that helps them figure out more about what's going on and find areas that they can improve, that sort of thing.
How interesting. And so what did you study in school? What's your background? And can you tell us a little bit more about your journey to IHF and joining the IHF family?
Yeah, sure. So when I say I kind of came into this role in a bit unconventional way, so I actually at university I studied psychology and forensic science, and most people are a bit like, how where's the link there? But I'm not sure if like you guys or listeners are aware, but psychology is like very like research and statistics heavy. So that's kind of like what piqued my interest. In kind of like the data and like statistics side of things. But so I kind of came into that. So like if like for your context, dyslexic and autistic. I'm also hard of hearing. And so during school I found that like really challenging. And I had received the support of an educational psychologist throughout my high school. And that was honestly like a game changer. They gave me so many great tactics of how to kind of improve my study style and that sort of thing. So I kind of went into psychology more of like an interest of I would like to be that for somebody else, like so I was looking at educational psychology, but when I was doing the course, although I do have an interest in mental health and psychology, I was also kind of interested in the statistics side of things. So that's kind of like my education background. I've still done a bit of a detour from then to my data role, which I can talk about if you like.
That's actually really fascinating. And yes, I think that psychology is the basis for understanding people and how people operate and how they think. And no, I understand you perfectly. And that's so interesting. And even though it is a bit strange, it's more curious, it's more interesting that people from different backgrounds are all brought together to the same place, to IHF, to volunteer. And it's so wonderful that everyone has a different background. Um, and yes, that was my next question as well, is that could you perhaps talk about the link between psychology, giving back, volunteering, and also data? Does that help you to research, to study data sets in order to see a project come to fruition? And also, I know this is a bit of a multiple questions in one question, but what is the data analysis team in IHF? What exactly do you lovely gents and ladies do at the data team actually?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with the kind of the link side of things. So yeah, from doing psychology. So during my degree doing psychology, I did a research project. So I've had to plan my project, plan the research methods, how I was going to collect the data, analyze it. It was from start to finish, like a research project, which I found like really interesting. Out of uni, I went into working in social care. So the majority of my working history so far has been working in social care with mainly autistic people, of like adults. And then I went to do be a support worker in high school and education. So when I was coming into IHF, I was coming from working in education. With autistic people. And so, like, I'd also been studying a bit of like, data analysis and doing this part-time data analysis internship in order to get more into the field at the time. But when I found IHF, I was like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity for me because it's, it's education focused, providing education to areas, to people who don't necessarily have access to them. And that is something I'm passionate about, is like access to education. Um, and then also on top of that, the opportunity to work in a data team and gain more work experience. Because I mean, it's kind of across the board with like job hunting right now. It's pretty competitive across many different fields, and very much so in the data field. So um, uh, I just thought it was like the best opportunity, and so that's kind of what led me to work at IHF. In terms of what our team does, quite a mixture of things really, because there's, as you'll know, there are so many teams within IHF. We have quite a lot of different types of data to be analyzing. So we have a few main focuses. Uh, kind of one of the main focuses has been trying to analyze data that tells us a story about the volunteer recruitment side of things. So like how efficient that process is. Is there any way we can improve on that? And then also the satisfaction of the volunteers within IHF, and the productivity of the teams, um, just to kind of like show for all the work that we do in all our various teams through all the way from recruitment up until you know like final projects such as you guys, like the podcast team, like are all the work that we're putting in, is it paying off? Essentially is one of the big things that we're looking at. And then on the other side of things, um would be the education centers. So what we're trying to do right now is kind of collect all our the data that we have and from the education centres, so that we can um, analyze to find the impact of the centres on the communities. So like for all the work that we do at the centres, like what impact is that actually having? And it's really useful in terms of like providing evidence for like funding applications and that side of things as well. Um, so yeah, those are kind of like the main project focuses. A lot of our time up until now has actually been spent kind of totally like revamping the way that we collect data within IHF. You might have seen bits here and there that I posted in chats, but for people who don't know, it's quite a transformation. So uh, we were previously working with quite unstructured data. Like we were getting information about like paragraphs of text from different teams, and it's really useful to hear what teams have going on in terms of like they're giving us like a weekly update on what they've been doing in their team, but it's not necessarily stuff that the data team could work with numerically. So we've been like totally revamping the whole system, and it's taken quite a while, but it's kind of coming to a head now, and we're starting to kind of reap the rewards of that. Yeah, that's kind of the main things we'll be doing.
How interesting. So it's wonderful to have volunteers from different backgrounds and experiences, different nationalities and cultures. Because of this, exactly, we come with innovative new ideas, and we can come with this idea of, okay, this is great. We have this information. How do we put it in context? How do we use it to like you said, revamp some of the research and get something out of it and not just have, let's say, a lot of information, but not be used strategically. And that was actually one
Yeah.
of the questions that I had for you as well. With your psychology background, how do you use those theories that you've learned in like classrooms and apply them to real life situations? It could be either in the theories, like you said, in data, or maybe in with your teammates, or maybe conflict with teammates. Please tell me a little bit about that.
Great question. So yeah, I mean, I suppose I maybe have like a different outlook on data than other people. Maybe not necessarily, but I think with my psychology background and then working with a wide range of different people from different backgrounds and different cultures, it's really useful because the way I see data analysis is essentially like problem solving with people. Um, it's like I mean you can go into kind of like a data analyst role and just kind of focus on numbers and these numbers show this and da 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 da. But ultimately that's not really going to be that helpful to an organization if you don't understand how kind of societies and people work. So it's a lot of like so like part of my like psychology degree, there's a bit of like sociology involved as well. I would say that side of things are more relevant to kind of my data focused roles because it's part of like kind of using these like statistical models and trends in data that we see um, alongside kind of what we already know about society and the way people behave um, uh, to kind of come to the conclusion of like the way that people are most likely to react to certain situations. I hope I'm explaining myself well. I know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yes, exactly. Like you said, I think especially since you have a background in psychology, as well as your unique background as well. Like you said, you suffered from dyslexia and you went through um, some of those challenges, even maybe with some peers, etc. But then through some help, you were able to not only understand other people, but also understand yourself. And that I think is very, very powerful. And does that help you also with some of the conflicts within other, team members, with other groups, even on the data team?
Yeah, I would say so. I think kind of a combination of that plus my kind of own experience. So like with being like autistic, um there are certain things that I struggle with, particularly like, if I'm not given enough context or like specific directions, I might like misinterpret what someone said just based off like social cues, that sort of thing. And then so like working in a diverse team where English is not necessarily everyone's first language, there's cultural differences. I like there'll be team members that have other disabilities, that sort of thing. I think all of that combined with my psychology knowledge has helped in kind of like managing the team because yeah, one of the things I'm most passionate about is like access. And so as in like I want to make sure that everything is accessible to everyone where possible. So I'd make it a priority like when managing the team and problem solving with team members to make sure that I'm like communicating in the most accessible way possible. Yeah, I kind of like translate that across the board. But also part of the data side of things is like I'm basically a translator to organizations for their data. Like not everybody is very you know clued up on statistics and what things mean. So I present a bunch of graphs to somebody and they'll be like, what am I looking at? But yeah, I'm essentially like translating that information into a more accessible way for them to understand. And I kind of like that's a skill that I have gained through my understanding of people and through the understanding of like myself, my own struggles, that I can like apply to all these areas, which I'm quite proud of, I would say.
And you should be a jack of all trades. You have everything. And like you said, obviously, math, I think, is one of the international languages of the world. So you need a translator for, and I think that you have that talent.
Thanks.
And yes, that was actually something I wanted to ask you as well, because I have a good friend of mine also who identifies as autistic as well, and he said some similarly to what you said. I need to remember how to speak better. Um, he misses social cues sometimes, and I think it's more that sometimes he doesn't know if he should end a conversation or he should contribute. And he's let me know, and he's not embarrassed by it at all, because sometimes people are told that they should hide parts of themselves, or be wary of who to open up to. And in fact, I think it's given him actually more confidence to open up and let everyone know that this is, sometimes he misses social cues. Just let him know if he's speaking on top of you. So it's been very freeing for himself and his experience. And I'm curious, living with autism, dyslexia. Sometimes it means that you're part of a world sometimes that is not designed, generally speaking, with those experiences in mind. And I was wondering, because you've been so open about it as well, and you mention it to just let people know, do you find that these differences in how you process information or how you interact with others perhaps has given you a kind of perspective or an insight that others might miss? Or are there sometimes certain challenges in the way that you communicate with others? Because like you said, we're not just dealing with people from different cultures, different languages, different ways of life experiences. So could you speak a little more about that, and perhaps how it's actually helped you uh, represent yourself?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's a bit of a mixture. I would say there are like some things that yeah, similar to your friend. Like I struggle with, knowing when to initiate and conversations with people. That side of things, amongst other things, that like, yeah, so social cues. Um, I definitely get like really overstimulated in certain environments, which is actually one of the reasons why I needed to leave my previous job. Because although I really loved working in the high school, it was very, overstimulating. Like there's lots going on all the time, and that side of things. So that, yeah, there's definitely things that like I struggle with, that I've had to kind of actively put things in place to help me cope better in those situations. And similar to your friend as well, I have found that since I've been able to kind of like vocalize about my struggles and things to people that I work with and friends, etc. Like that has definitely improved my confidence, because I don't need to kind of worry about trying to hide that side of me, because honestly that can be totally exhausting. So yeah, so yeah, there are definitely things I struggle with, but then there are other things that perhaps make me like maybe a better analyst. I don't want to like go down the whole like autism gives you a superpower kind of route, because that is honestly,
Own
like
it,
you see that in
honestly.
the but you see that in the media all the time, and I don't know it's necessarily always as kind of dramatic as they make out. But I would say maybe as an analyst, it can help me in ways, because sometimes I take things quite literally at face value, and it might be that I'm seeing all this data and give trends and stuff, and someone else might see that and kind of put their own maybe like assumptions on from kind of like social knowledge onto the findings. Whereas I'm not going to do that. Like I take things quite literally. I'm quite a pattern like picker with these things. So I can like I can use like my knowledge of like society from my studies, but I tend to like separate that. Whereas I think sometimes neurotypical people don't always realize that they're doing that. Um, so I suppose that's one way in how it can help me. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, and I believe that all of our different experience really help shape IHF, because we all have unique backgrounds. I just interviewed someone yesterday, and they were very interested in data as well. And their unique background of social anthropology really helped them understand people and try to translate that understanding into to data through R and help people through projects through that translation, which brings me to back to data and projects. I think you've touched a little bit on how you use statistics and numbers to translate the importance of the centers for perhaps raising funds or what have you. But could you maybe give us a few examples? How do you come up with these numbers? How do you translate, I guess, the feeling of importance? How do you translate that into numbers? How does that can it reflect what's going on at these different centers? Is it notions of success? Is it the amount, the numbers of students that have been helped over the years? How do you analyze that? And this is it maybe data driven evidence that you show to maybe stakeholders such as perhaps NGOs or other private corporations that help get funds? Can you just walk us through that process? Because I'll be honest, I've done Stata, I've done R and some other programming languages, and even though I barely passed, it's very interesting from my point of view because I'm not at all in the sector, and some others may not be either. So it's very interesting to hear a different point of view, a more a data-driven point of view. So just please walk us through that.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of like the actual, the results we've been able to get so far, so we're actually a bit limited on the amount of education centers data that we have right now. So part of the main focus of our team is also like kind of uncovering the data. Like we're kind of going hunting for it. Where can we find this? Where can we find that? Um, I can walk through the process of like what our plan is in place. Measuring the impact of the centers. So we're looking at things like so we're looking at the number of students that attend each class, the kind of so like the efficiency of the centers. So in terms of like the ratio of staff to students, and then out of those students, which who are involved in the mentorship program and who are like just attending regular classes. Then from that, we're looking at things like their exam results, and how many students since joining the center have advanced at least one level academically. In specifically, we've actually been asked to look at maths and literacy, like because the maths and literacy are kind of like ones that if like someone's applying for a job, like that they're kind of like sometimes asked a standard of a certain like maths or literacy or in my country in English as like uh as a requirement for getting any job really. um so yeah, that side of things. Plus, we're also looking to measure students' reported confidence levels. I think that's like massively important. Having worked in education, supporting students that have difficulty engaging in their learning, and that side of things. One thing that I would say is like a major indicator on kind of the success of a program is like the students' self-reported confidence, because a lot of these kids, when if they're starting brand new at an education center like this, or say they've never had education support before, like oftentimes you find that these kids have really low confidence levels in themselves and in their ability to learn, just because they haven't been provided like the support that they need before this. So I think a massive way you can tell if it's like if we're doing our job, if it's actually working, is if they report their own confidence levels, and then on top of that, their academic success following like the new education center input as well.
That's beautiful. And do you also send out surveys? How does that work exactly? Because if that's an indicator, do the children or the students fill out certain forms, or is it more of the teachers and their thoughts?
So we've not currently got a survey in place, but that is the plan. Yeah, we want to hear like directly from the students, but then also from the teachers as well, like in terms of like so the teachers will probably be providing more like academic side of things. So like their grades, their attendance, um, perhaps their demeanor in the classroom is maybe like an additional one. But yeah, in terms of the like reported confidence, we like likelihood would be we would pass on like surveys to the teachers to then share with the students and feedback to us.
Okay, that's very interesting. And like you said, I mean, there's also a combination of support that you can find at the education centers, through teachers, through extracurricular activities, even at school with certain projects that have to do with presentation, oral presentations, etc., which also kind of go hand in hand with confidence, which is absolutely amazing. I had also another personal question for you, Ollie. What are some maybe personal goals that you wish to accomplish with IHF? I'm not sure if you would like to continue with IHF in the foreseeable future. And if so, are there some concrete plans or at least drafts of certain wishes that you would like to accomplish?
Yeah, so I mean, I suppose like the goal of mine was like to be in this like leadership position. So I joined the GLD program at IHF, which is the Global Leadership Development Program for people who don't know. Um, and like with the goal of kind of gaining these leadership skills and then ultimately entering a leadership position, which I have done as the team lead. So that was that was honestly like my main goal was to get experience and data to contribute to like a cause that I feel passionate about, and that's like the education access, and also to gain leadership skills and experience there. So honestly, that was like my main goals, and I've really enjoyed the leadership position in the team. I've found that it's a place that I feel like I'm constantly like challenging myself to improve and not just challenging myself but challenging members of the team and setting up opportunities for them to develop areas that they're more interested in, particularly as the job market in data and analysis is so competitive. So like the individual people to see what technologies and tools they're more interested in using and try and assign their tasks and projects related to that. So yeah, I've really enjoyed doing doing this leadership experience and that was kind of like my main goal. So it's actually helped me recently secure kind of like my dream job role at this stage of my career. So uh, unfortunately, I actually will be leaving IHF soon. Um, but it's honestly been like a great experience in terms of like leadership and developing my skills, and I have like no doubt that due to this like boost of confidence and experience, it has definitely played a massive role in helping me secure this job of mine that I've got lined up.
Oh, that's so that's so unfortunate that you'll be leaving. But the thing with IHF is that we don't mourn our volunteers leaving us because we've planted the seeds of change, as we like to call them, in each of our volunteers. And no matter what they do in life, we know that they've contributed massively to IHF and their legacy lives on. You are obviously a very organized, very impact-driven person, and you've done so much work for the data team. And I know that no matter whether you're leaving us soon or in the future, if you will no longer be with us, the data team will have been massively helped by you. So it's wonderful that you were able to be present, no matter how short that was. But I believe you joined in January, so it's still been several months. So that's been wonderful that we've been able to have you, and it's bittersweet to see you leave, but that impact just doesn't disappear. And I wish you the best of luck in your, I don't want to seem cliche, but in your future endeavors, because I know that you'll be incredibly helpful and incredibly energetic, just like you were in IHF and whatever you do in the future. Um,
Thank you.
no
Yeah,
problem.
I'm also looking forward to like passing on. So like
Mm.
before I leave, I'm gonna be like finding somebody to fill my spot and passing on like what I've learned and some like doing a proper handover and stuff. So I'm like I feel confident that there are definitely members of the team that I can like confidently like pass on the baton to, and
Mhm.
and maybe that would be a bit of my like IHF legacy.
Exactly. And that's what the IHF motto is all about. It's about passing it on. We've had the wonderful privilege of having wonderful education and experiences all around the world. And even though, again, some of us will continue with the IHF at a small basis, perhaps just a couple hours a week, maybe a couple hours a month, some of us will not be able to contribute anymore. But hopefully, we've planted the seeds of growth and help people in whatever way we can, and pass it on. That's our legacy, and that's a great legacy to have. I'm not sure if you have any concluding words, Athmore.
The same thing to you. I wish you and I hope the best for you and your future endeavors, Ollie. You came to IHF with so many skills already, so I hope that IHF contributed to your aggrandizement as well. And I hope that at least in the future you'll remember IHF with good memories. And even if later on you'd like to come back to IHF, even as an at-home volunteer or anything or what have you, or even if you can kind of recommend IHF and the global leadership directing program to other people, that would be absolutely beneficial. Since IHF is also volunteer run, we subsist on people and their passions and empathies and wonderful skill sets. So we hope that your legacy will rotate in IHF.
Thank you. I hope so too. And I've actually passed on IHF to my entire team and my data team at my internship role. So like some more analysts
Yeah,
coming in.
we're gonna have all the analysts as well. Yes, it's wonderful because we always need more people to do the work that we're unable to, because that just seems like so much difficult, necessary work. And also to end the podcast, I was wondering if Ollie, if you could say a few concluding words as well, perhaps for maybe future volunteers, maybe for current volunteers or past volunteers as well. What would you like those to know about perhaps your time at IHF, perhaps about volunteering or giving back in general, or even just education? Could you just uh, uh, close with your wonderful words? We love hearing you speak and describe the wonderful experiences that you've had.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I would say to like anybody who's kind of thinking of like joining IHF or is maybe just starting out, it's an environment where I've felt totally supported to grow my skills, particularly in leadership, and in data as well by my team. Um, so it's like you see a lot of these kind of internships and opportunities like online that are really hard to come by, especially in data. And but sometimes it's maybe like for organizations that you don't really feel as like passionate about, but you just want to get some experience and get your kind of like foot in the door. But with IHF, I really found that I felt that my work was, working towards like a meaningful cause that I felt passionate about. And I think that really helped in um, building up my skills and giving me motivation to continue to do so and grow myself in my leadership of my career. So I hope that other people thinking of joining can join with kind of the same sort of like expectations, and hope that they'll get the support that they need in this like meaningful learning environment with IHF.
And yes, they will. And your name will forever be immortalized within the HR archives of IHF as well. So you can't hide from us either. Thank you so much, Ollie. And as we close, just remember this: lead with heart, lead on, and pass it on. So the impact that people make, especially impacting others, even if it's just one child, even if it's just one team that they've helped, it doesn't end. It just ripples and continues to help others for years to come, honestly. So until next time, thank you so much to Ollie. Thank you so much to Athmar, my wonderful co host, and to our wonderful listeners. take care, keep the spirit of volunteering alive, and you will hear from us next time. Signing off.